I didn't flinch when Lillian Crawford slid that security report across her desk and said, "Garrett, we're putting the executive VP position on hold indefinitely." Just like that. No eye contact, no explanation. Like she was telling me the coffee machine was broken. What she didn't know was that I'd finally hit my limit. After 15 years of building her security company from nothing, I was done playing her games. My name is Garrett Fleming. I'm 47 years old, and this is the story of how I learned that corporate loyalty only works when it goes both ways. Look, I'm not the type who makes waves. Never have been. I spent 10 years in the Marines before this, learned to follow orders and take care of my people. When I got out in 2001, right after 9/11's changed everything, I figured the corporate world worked the same way. Do your job, do it well, look out for your team, and leadership takes care of you. Man, was I wrong about that last part? I started at Fortress Risk Management when corporate America was scrambling to understand the new security threats. Lillian Crawford hired me specifically to build their security division from zero. Government contracts, executive protection, corporate data security, you name it. I developed the systems to handle it. 15 years later, Fortress pulls in $85 million annually in federal and corporate contracts. I built that capability from the ground up. Here's what I actually did for them. In 2019, when that Chinese hacking group tried to break into their client database, my threat detection systems caught the breach attempt 3 days before it would have activated. Saved them about $8 million in damages and federal penalties. When Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, I coordinated emergency security for 3 Fortune 500 companies, keeping their operations running while competitors went dark for weeks. I know every federal security contractor from DC to Dallas. I know which background check companies deliver solid intel and which ones cut corners. When there's a real threat at 3 in the morning, nobody calls Lillian Crawford. They call me, and I handle it. The thing is, Lillian always showed up for the victory lap. She'd walk into client meetings after I'd already solved all the problems, shake hands with agency directors, and act like she personally designed our security systems. Meanwhile, I'm the one pulling 16-hour shifts and missing my kids' school events to keep her contracts running smooth. Speaking of my kids, that's what made this whole situation critical. My daughter Brooke just got diagnosed with severe spinal problems requiring surgery. The procedure cost $180,000, and our insurance company denied coverage, calling it experimental treatment. My son Hunter's back from his second deployment in Syria, with shrapnel damage to his left leg. The VA's been shuffling his case around for 8 months while he can barely walk. My wife Carol's consulting business took a major hit during the recession, and we're looking at refinancing our house just to stay current on bills. I'm 47 years old. This executive VP promotion wasn't about my ego anymore. It was about securing my family's financial future. For the past 4 years, Lillian kept telling me the promotion was almost ready. Budget reviews, board meetings, corporate restructuring, always some excuse. But she'd pat me on the shoulder and say, "Don't worry, Garrett. You're my choice for executive VP. Just be patient while we get the paperwork done. Be patient." I'd been patient for 4 years while doing executive VP work for director pay. Patient while training new hires who made more money than me because they had MBA degrees and 0 real-world experience. Patient while Lillian's nephew, Jeremy, got fast-tracked to senior director after 14 months on the job. Yeah, Jeremy Crawford, fresh out of business school with his strategic management degree. Never spent a day running background checks or handling security threats. Kid couldn't secure a parking garage, but he's family, and that's all that matters at Fortress. The meeting that changed everything happened on a Tuesday afternoon in November. Lillian's assistant called me around 2 p.m. saying she wanted to see me at 3:30 for my annual review and career discussion. I figured this was finally it. After 15 years, I was going to get the recognition I'd earned. I put on my good suit, grabbed my performance folder, and walked into her office ready to accept the promotion we'd been talking about for years. Lillian was reviewing contracts when I came in, doing that executive theater where they make you wait while they handle urgent business. Standard power play. I've seen it everywhere from military command to corporate boardrooms. "Have a seat, Garrett," she said without looking up. "Need to discuss some changes." I sat down, put my folder on her desk, and waited. Finally, she leaned back and gave me that look. The look bosses give you when they're about to deliver bad news but want to act like it's no big deal. "Garrett, I'm going to be straight with you," she said. "The board decided to postpone the executive VP expansion indefinitely. Market conditions, federal budget constraints. You understand how these things work." I just stared at her. Market conditions. This is the same company that spent $120,000 on new executive office furniture last quarter. The same company posting record profits for 4 straight years. Lillian, I said, keeping my voice level, we've been planning this promotion for months. The job description was already written. She shuffled her papers. Actually shuffled them like we were discussing office supply orders. Things change, Garrett. Economic conditions require flexibility. The board needs to be conservative. What about adjusting my salary? I asked. I'm already doing the executive VP work. Shouldn't my pay match my responsibilities? That's when she looked away, started organizing those contracts again. Company policy keeps salaries aligned with official titles. Once the executive VP position gets approved, you'll be the first candidate. Not even a guarantee anymore, just first candidate. I sat there for a full minute, letting that sink in. 15 years. 15 years of building her security empire. Of making her look good in federal meetings, of missing family dinners and weekend plans to keep her government contracts running, and this was what I got for it. When do you think that might happen? I asked, hard to say. Maybe next year, maybe longer, depends on how the market shapes up. Next year or maybe longer. Translation: never. That's when I understood the real situation. Lillian wasn't planning to promote me ever. She was planning to keep me right where I was, doing executive VP work for director pay until I retired or dropped dead. Why would she change anything? She had the perfect setup, all the results with none of the cost. I picked up my folder, stood up, and looked her in the eye. Thanks for letting me know, I said. My voice stayed calm, but something had changed inside me, something permanent. Don't worry about it, Garrett, she said, already turning back to her contracts. You're valuable right where you are. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. The same line every boss gives when they want to keep taking advantage of you. I walked out of that office and closed the door behind me. The hallway looked the same as always, but something felt different, like I was seeing the place clearly for the first time in years. When I got back to my desk, I didn't open any project files. Instead, I opened my email and started looking through messages I'd been ignoring for months. Recruiters, headhunters, former colleagues who'd moved on to better jobs. Messages that all said pretty much the same thing. You're too good for Fortress. Come work somewhere that appreciates talent. I'd always deleted those emails before. Loyalty? You know. But sitting there staring at my computer screen, I started thinking maybe loyalty was supposed to work both ways, and Fortress had been going in the wrong direction for years. One email caught my attention right away. Subject line was simple: coffee and conversation from Wesley Porter, CEO of Pinnacle Security Group. I knew the name. Everyone in Dallas security knows Pinnacle. They started as a small protective services company. But in the last 5 years, they'd grown into serious competition for the big players. Government contracts, major corporate accounts, even some of the homeland security work that used to go automatically to companies like Fortress. Word around town was that Porter ran things differently. Paid well, treated people right, actually listened to his security managers instead of just telling them what to do. I clicked on the email. Garrett, I've been watching your work at Fortress for years. Your threat response record and safety numbers are the best in the Southwest. If you're ever interested in talking about leadership opportunities, I'd love to buy you coffee. No pressure, just curious about your thoughts on where the industry's heading. No pressure. But the thing was, it didn't feel like a sales pitch. Most recruiters send you these generic messages about exciting opportunities without even knowing what you do. This guy had done his homework. I stared at that email for about 10 minutes, then closed my laptop and went home. Carol was in the kitchen making dinner while the kids handled homework at the table. Normal Tuesday night routine. But I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. How was your meeting with Lillian? Carol asked without looking up from the stove. About what I expected, I said, which was true in a way. She gave me that look. 22 years of marriage, and she can read me like a book. That bad, huh? Brooke looked up from her algebra homework. Dad, is everything okay? That's when it hit me. My daughter shouldn't have to worry about whether her father's okay because of some corporate politics. She should be focused on being 17 and figuring out which colleges she wants to visit next year. Everything's fine, sweetheart, I said. Just work stuff. But it wasn't fine, and Carol knew it. After the kids went to bed, we sat on the back porch with a couple of beers, and I told her what really happened in Lillian's office. 15 years, she said when I finished. 15 years, and they won't even give you the title for work you're already doing. That's about the size of it. She was quiet for a minute, looking out at our backyard. We'd bought this house 13 years ago, right after Hunter was born. 3 bedrooms, 2-car garage, good school district, the American dream, Texas style. But dreams cost money. And money requires a steady paycheck with room for growth. You know what I think? Carol said finally. I think you should call that Porter guy. I looked at her. You sure about that, Garrett? You've been loyal to Fortress longer than we've lived in this house, but loyalty's got to work both ways. If they don't see your value after 15 years, maybe it's time to find someone who does. The next morning, I responded to Wesley Porter's email. Mr. Porter, I appreciate you reaching out. I'd be interested in that conversation. When works for you? He replied within an hour. How about Saturday morning? There's a diner called Murphy's on Elm Street that makes great coffee and keeps things quiet. 9 a.m. work. Saturday morning I drove over to Murphy's. It's one of those old-school places where security contractors grab breakfast before heading to job sites. Red vinyl booths, coffee that could strip paint, and waitresses who've seen it all. Perfect place for a private conversation. Porter was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a cup of coffee and what looked like project plans spread out on the table. He stood up when he saw me coming. Average height, maybe mid-40s, with the kind of firm handshake that tells you he spent time doing actual security work instead of just sitting in boardrooms. Garrett Fleming, I said. Wesley Porter, thanks for coming out on a Saturday. We shook hands and sat down. Wesley folded up the plans and set them aside. Hope you don't mind if I skip the small talk, he said. I've got a problem, and I think you might be the solution. I liked him already. Straight shooter. Pinnacle's growing faster than we can handle, he continued. We've got 5 major federal contracts starting in the next 6 months, plus emergency response agreements with 6 agencies. I need someone who can coordinate all that without everything falling apart. Sounds familiar, I said. He smiled. I bet it does. Look, I'll be honest with you. I've been trying to hire you away from Fortress for 2 years, but I figured you were happy there. Then I heard through the grapevine that things might not be as good as they seem. Word travels fast, huh? Security's a small world, especially around Dallas. People notice when good managers get passed over for promotions they've earned. I sipped my coffee and looked around the diner. A couple of guys in work clothes were talking about a job site problem. Familiar conversation, familiar world. What exactly are you offering? I asked. Wesley leaned forward, Executive VP of Regional Operations, full authority over project coordination, team building, and client relationships. Starting salary is $145,000 plus performance bonuses that actually mean something. Health benefits for your whole family. And here's the best part, profit sharing. When Pinnacle does well, you do well. I nearly choked on my coffee. $145,000 was almost $50,000 more than I was making at Fortress. And profit sharing. Lillian Crawford wouldn't share a sandwich, let alone company profits. There's more, Wesley said. I know you've got kids heading to college soon. Pinnacle has an education assistance program. We'll cover up to $15,000 per year in tuition costs for employees' children. Now he really had my attention. Brooks' surgery was going to cost us nearly $180,000 between the procedure and recovery. Hunter's college fund was solid, but not solid enough for 4 years at a good university. Why me? I asked. You could hire someone younger, cheaper. Because I don't want someone younger and cheaper, Wesley said. I want someone who knows what he's doing. Someone who can handle a crisis at 3 a.m. without needing hand-holding. Someone whose team actually respects him instead of just following orders because he's the boss. He pulled out a single sheet of paper and slid it across the table. This is our safety record for the past 3 years, he said. We're good, but we could be better. Your teams at Fortress have the best safety numbers in Texas. That's not luck. That's leadership. I looked at the numbers. Pinnacle was definitely solid, but Wesley was right. They could improve, and I knew I could help them get there. What's the timeline on this? I asked. I'd like to have someone in place within 2 weeks, Wesley said. But for the right person, I'm flexible. He stood up and left a 20 on the table for coffee that probably cost $6. Think about it over the weekend. Call me Monday if you're interested. If not, no hard feelings. And this conversation never happened. I drove home thinking about Carol's words. Loyalty's got to work both ways. That night, I sat in my home office looking at our family budget spreadsheet. Brooks' surgery costs, Hunter's upcoming college applications, the mortgage, Carol's business expenses, All the regular costs of a middle-class family trying to stay middle-class in an economy that kept making it harder. Then I thought about Lillian Crawford shuffling papers when she told me to keep doing what I was doing. The way she looked right through me like I was office furniture. I picked up my phone and dialed Wesley Porter's number. "Wesley, it's Garrett Fleming. If that offer's still good, I'm interested." "It's good," he said. "Welcome to Pinnacle Security." Monday morning, I walked into Fortress Risk Management with my resignation letter in my jacket pocket. 2 weeks' notice, professional and clean. No point burning bridges, even when those bridges were already falling down. I had a normal morning. Checked on the Harrison account security review. Looked over protocol updates for the federal building contract. Answered a few emails from field teams. Just another day at the office, except it was going to be my last normal day for a while. Around 10 a.m., I knocked on Lillian's door. "Come in." She called out. I walked in and sat down without waiting for an invitation. Lillian looked up from her computer screen, probably checking her stock portfolio or something equally important. "What's up, Garrett?" I pulled out the letter and placed it on her desk. "I'm submitting my resignation." "Lillian, 2 weeks' notice, standard procedure." She stared at the letter like it was written in Chinese. Then she looked up at me with this confused expression, like I just told her the building was on fire. "Resignation, Garrett. What are you talking about? I'm taking a position with Pinnacle Security Group, Executive VP of Regional Operations. My last day here will be Friday, November 22nd. Now she was paying attention. Lillian picked up the letter and read it, her face getting redder with each line. "Pinnacle Security. They're our competition, Garrett. They're our direct rivals. They're the company that offered me what you wouldn't," I said. "Respect, proper pay, and a chance to actually lead instead of just take orders." "Garrett, let's not be hasty here," she said, putting on that fake concerned voice she used when clients threatened to leave. "If this is about the executive VP promotion, we can work something out. Maybe speed up the timeline. Lillian, you told me Tuesday that timeline might be next year or longer. Today's Monday, and suddenly you can speed it up." She shifted in her chair. "Look, I'll be honest. The board's been conservative about expansion, but if it means keeping you here, keeping me here to do executive VP work for director pay, while your nephew gets fast-tracked to senior management." That hit home. Lillian's face went from red to pale pretty quick. "Jeremy's situation is different," she said. "Yeah, it is different. He's family. I'm just the guy who's kept this company profitable for 15 years. Lillian leaned forward, trying to look sincere. "Garrett, you're valuable to Fortress, more valuable than you realize. What's Pinnacle offering that we can't match?" $14,500 to start, plus profit sharing and education assistance for my kids." Lillian blinked. $145? That's a significant increase. "It's what the job's worth, Lillian. It's what I should have been making here 3 years ago." She was quiet for a minute, probably calculating how much it would cost to match Pinnacle's offer versus how much it would cost to replace me. I could see the wheels turning. "Give me 48 hours, she said finally. "Let me talk to the board, see what we can do." I stood up. "Lillian, I already gave Pinnacle my answer. The decision's made. Garrett, don't do this. We're like family here. Family." That was rich coming from the woman who'd been lying to me for 4 years while promoting her actual family. "Family doesn't lie to each other for years," I said. "Family doesn't take advantage of loyalty. And family sure doesn't tell someone to keep doing what they're doing after breaking promises." I walked toward the door, then turned back. "Oh, and Lillian, you might want to start looking for replacements. I'm not the only one who's been unhappy around here." That afternoon, word got around the office pretty quick. Security's a small world, and news travels fast. By 2 p.m., 3 of my key people had stopped by my office. Danny Walsh came in first. Danny's been my operations coordinator for 7 years, knows every contractor and federal contact in Texas. The kind of guy who can solve problems before they become emergencies. "Is it true?" he asked, closing the door behind him. "Yeah, it's true." 2 weeks' notice as of this morning. He sat down in the chair across from my desk. "Where you headed?" "Pinnacle Security Group, Executive VP of Regional Operations." Danny nodded slowly. "They're good people. I've worked with some of their teams on joint projects. Professional outfit." "Danny, you know I can't recruit you while I'm still employed here. That wouldn't be right, I know," he said. "But hypothetically speaking, if someone were to leave Fortress and go to work for Pinnacle, would there be opportunities for experienced coordinators?" "Hypothetically speaking, I'd imagine Pinnacle's always looking for good people. Good to know. Danny said, standing up. Congratulations, Garrett. It's about time someone recognized what you're worth. 20 minutes later, Monica Sanders knocked on my door. Monica's our best intelligence analyst, graduated from Georgetown with honors in security studies. Worked her way up from assistant to senior analyst in 5 years. Smart as hell and twice as hardworking. But Lillian and her crew never gave her the credit she deserved. So you're really leaving, she asked. Friday's my last day. Can't say I blame you. I've been watching them pass you over for years while taking credit for your work. Monica sat down and looked around my office. You know, I've been thinking about making a change myself. This place doesn't seem to value analytical excellence the way it should. Where would you go? I asked, though I had a feeling I knew the answer. Well, if Pinnacle Security is hiring executive VPs, they probably need good analysts too. I'd imagine they do. I might give them a call this week. You know, just to see what opportunities are out there. Scott Barnes was the third visitor. Scott runs our safety and compliance programs, and he's the reason Fortress has the best safety record in North Texas. Former Army MP, careful about details, doesn't tolerate shortcuts that put people at risk. Heard the news, he said, settling into the chair. About time. Thanks, Scott. Question for you. Pinnacle's safety record is solid, but not excellent. They could use someone with experience upgrading their protocols. I'd agree with that. Think they'd be interested in hiring a compliance coordinator with 10 years of experience and a perfect inspection record. I think any smart company would be interested in that. Scott smiled. I'll keep that in mind. By Wednesday, rumors were flying around the office. Lillian was making the rounds, trying to do damage control, but you could see the panic in her eyes. She'd never had to run operations without me backing her up, and I think it was finally hitting her what that meant. Thursday morning, Danny Walsh walked into Lillian's office and submitted his resignation. 2 hours later, Monica Sanders did the same thing. By lunch, Scott Barnes had followed suit. 3 of my key people gone in one morning. Lillian called an emergency meeting with her senior staff, but the damage was already done. Word was getting out that the backbone of Fortress's operations was walking out the door. My phone started ringing around 2 p.m. Lillian, of course. Garrett, we need to talk. This is getting out of hand. What's getting out of hand, Lillian? You know damn well what I'm talking about. 3 more resignations today. All your people. They're not my people. Lillian, they're professionals who make their own decisions about where they want to work. This is sabotage. No, this is what happens when you treat good employees badly for years. They find places that treat them better. Garrett, please, can we meet? Can we work something out? I looked around my office, already half-packed. 15 years of work fitting into a few cardboard boxes. Lillian, I already worked something out with Pinnacle Security. My last day is Friday, just like I told you Monday. The board authorized me to offer you $135,000 plus benefits, executive VP title, effective immediately. That's a generous offer, I said, but I already accepted another position. Garrett, Lillian, you had 15 years to make that offer. You had 4 years after I started asking about promotion. You even had Tuesday afternoon when I was sitting right there in your office, ready to stay if you just treated me fairly. I hung up and went back to packing. Friday morning, I cleaned out my desk, said goodbye to the people who were staying, and walked out of Fortress Risk Management for the last time. In my rearview mirror, I could see the building getting smaller. But I wasn't looking back with regret. I was looking forward to Monday morning at Pinnacle Security. What I didn't know yet was that Lillian Crawford's troubles were just getting started. Monday morning at Pinnacle Security felt like stepping into a different world. Clean offices, updated equipment, and people who actually seemed happy to be there. Wesley Porter met me at the front desk with a cup of coffee and a genuine smile. Welcome to Pinnacle, Garrett. Ready to get started? My office was twice the size of what I'd had at Fortress, with windows that actually opened and a view of downtown Dallas. But the best part was the whiteboard on the wall, completely blank, waiting for me to start building something new. The first week was mostly meetings and getting familiar with Pinnacle's current projects. They had good systems, but I could see places where my experience would make a difference. Better coordination between teams, improved contractor relationships, more efficient scheduling, the kind of improvements that save time and money without cutting corners on safety. By the end of my second week, Danny Walsh, Monica Sanders, and Scott Barnes had all started at Pinnacle. Wesley didn't ask any questions about the timing. He just welcomed them aboard and put them to work. That's the kind of leadership that builds loyalty instead of demanding it. Meanwhile, things were falling apart at Fortress faster than I'd expected. The first sign of trouble came 3 weeks after I left. A friend who still worked there told me they'd missed a critical security update on the Harrison account because nobody knew which federal contact to call when the original assessment came back flagged. Simple problem that I could have solved with a phone call, but the new guy Lillian hired to replace me didn't have those relationships. That delay cost Fortress $35,000 in contract penalties. 2 weeks later, it was the federal building contract. Terrorist threat required emergency security upgrade, but without Scott's safety protocols and Danny's coordination experience, they couldn't mobilize teams fast enough. The agency pulled them off that contract and gave it to a competitor, Pinnacle Security Group. Wesley called me into his office that Thursday. Garrett, the federal agency just offered us the downtown building security contract. It's the one Fortress lost. You know that operation better than anyone. Think we can handle it? We can handle it, I said. Give me Monica for intelligence support and Scott to manage safety protocols. We'll have teams working by Monday. We finished that security upgrade 4 days ahead of schedule and $45,000 under budget. The federal project manager told Wesley it was the smoothest emergency response he'd seen in 12 years. Word travels fast in security contracting. Within a month, Pinnacle had 4 new contracts from clients who'd gotten frustrated with Fortress's declining service. Each one was a project I'd worked on before. Clients who trusted me enough to follow me to a new company. Lillian started calling again around that time. Garrett, I need to ask you something. She said when I answered the phone, are you actively recruiting my employees? Lillian, I'm not recruiting anybody, but if people call me asking about opportunities at Pinnacle, I'm not going to lie to them about what it's like to work here. 9 people have resigned in the past month. 9, all citing better opportunities as their reason. Maybe that should tell you something about the opportunities you're providing. This isn't sustainable, Garrett. Fortress has been part of Dallas security for 18 years, and it could be part of it for another 18 years if you started treating your employees like assets instead of expenses. There was a long pause.
What would it take to get you back? I looked around my office at Pinnacle.
Project schedules running on time, safety reports with 0 incidents, team meetings where people actually contributed ideas instead of just nodding along with whatever the boss said. Lillian, there's no amount of money that would bring me back to Fortress. This isn't about salary anymore. It's about respect. Garrett, you had 15 years to figure out that respect matters. Now it's too late. 6 months after I started at Pinnacle, the industry magazine Southwest Security Today ran a feature story about our emergency response capabilities. The article mentioned me by name as the guy behind Pinnacle's rapid expansion in the federal contracting sector. Carol cut out the article and put it on the refrigerator next to Brooke's honor roll certificate and Hunter's physical therapy progress report. Family achievements all in a row. The same week that article came out, I got a call from Lance Cooper, who'd been Fortress's lead field coordinator for 11 years. Garrett, I hate to bother you, but I'm thinking about making a change. Things are pretty chaotic here since you left. Lillian's hired 5 different operations managers in 7 months, and none of them last more than 6 weeks. What happened to the latest one? Quit yesterday. Said he couldn't manage operations without proper support systems. I knew exactly what he meant. Operations management isn't just about reading schedules and making phone calls. It's about relationships, knowing how things work, and understanding how all the pieces fit together. You can't hire that off the street. Pinnacle's always looking for experienced coordinators. I told Lance, if you're interested, send me your resume. Lance Cooper started at Pinnacle 2 weeks later. A year after I left Fortress, Wesley Porter promoted me to Senior Vice President with a 15% raise and expanded responsibilities for all Southwest operations. The promotion came with a corner office and a parking space with my name on it. More importantly, it came with the respect I'd been earning for 15 years but never receiving. That same month, I heard through industry contacts that Fortress had lost 4 major contracts and laid off 20% of their workforce. Lillian Crawford was trying to sell the company to a larger firm, but the due diligence process kept revealing problems with their capabilities. I didn't feel sorry for Lillian. I felt sorry for the good people still working there who were paying the price for her mistakes. 2 years later, Brooke got her spinal surgery successfully completed with our new insurance coverage. Between the coverage and Pinnacle's medical assistance program, her treatment cost us less than $12,000 out of pocket. Hunter was doing great in his recovery program, planning to study cybersecurity and maybe join the family business someday. Carol and I were sitting on the back porch one evening, watching the sunset and talking about Brooke's college plans. When she asked me if I ever regretted leaving Fortress, not for a second, I said, best decision I ever made, even though it took 15 years, especially because it took 15 years. If I'd left earlier, I might have wondered if I gave up too easily. Now I know I gave them every chance to do the right thing. Lillian Crawford learned an expensive lesson about the difference between managing people and leading them. Problem is, she learned it too late to save her company. The security industry in Dallas is competitive but small. Everyone knows everyone, and reputations matter. Pinnacle Security has a reputation for treating people right, delivering quality work, and standing behind their commitments. That reputation starts at the top with Wesley Porter, but it's maintained by people like me, Danny, Monica, Scott, and Lance. Experienced professionals who know what good leadership looks like because we've seen the alternative. As for me, I learned something important at 47 years old. Your career isn't about the years you put into a company. It's about finding a place that invests in you too. Respect, opportunity, fair pay, and the chance to grow instead of just survive. The security industry taught me that loyalty works both ways. When it doesn't, it's time to find somewhere it does. Sometimes the biggest risk isn't leaving a bad situation. It's staying in one that slowly kills your potential while convincing yourself that patience will eventually pay off. Loyalty without respect is just exploitation with a prettier name. Real partnerships require both sides to show up.
They say just forget. Move on like it's easy. But forgetting you feels like remembering someone I've never seen. I've been trying to erase you from the places in my mind, but the harder that I fight it, the more you're hard to leave behind. Every memory keeps slipping through the cracks I try to close, like a face I should remember, but somehow never know. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. Every moment turns to fragments, every thought just fades to blue, like I'm searching for a feeling that still only leads to you. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. But now every empty moment still reminds me what is real. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. Don't pity me. My heart doesn't need your mercy. I can still stand on my own. I was broken by your leaving, fell deeper than I thought I would. But pain has taught me how to heal now and survive what once I couldn't. You don't have to look back sadly, don't reach out with guilty hands. What you shattered made me stronger. Now I rise where I once collapsed. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. I once begged for your affection, now I've learned my worth in scars. And the man you left in pieces found his own way through the dark. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll rise alone again. I'll rise alone